Here we have our shelf. We have cut off our plugs. I have started sanding them flat just by hand with a brick, a wooden block, with a piece of 120 grit sandpaper. This is our medium grit sandpaper. And I've gotten it fairly close by sanding our plugs down with this. They're very, from the camera angle here, they're very hard to see, but there are still a few gouges. Let's try freehanding this. You can still see some scratch marks in there and a few other defects that just sanding by hand is not taking care of. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the orbital sander here. How this works is it moves in two different directions. So this pad rotates around in a circle this way, and the entire, let's see if I can move the entire thing, the entire pad also moves like this. So it's called a random orbital sander. On here we have the medium grit, the 120 grit sandpaper as well. But because this thing is moving and rotating so quickly, it will chew up material very, very fast if we're not careful. Whenever you use this tool, you want to make sure you're holding it flat on your project. Don't tip it, because it will gouge and it will make holes and craters in your project. So hold it very, very flat and keep it moving. You don't need to go super fast back and forth, because that's how you lose control. When you keep it moving, just very slowly, keep it going around the edges. Make sure you don't round over your edge by coming off an edge like this or like that. Just keep it nice and flat and sand the entire project. On this machine, our power button, 1 is power, 0 is off. So we'll hit 1, turn. It's kind of hard button to press. So we'll press that pretty hard, turns it on, and keep it moving. Done sanding. I have all the gouges out. Everything is smooth and flat. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 220 grit sandpaper. This is our fine sandpaper. And I'm going to sand everything again to make sure the wood is very smooth to the touch. If it's rough, this will produce a rough finish. If it's rough, it's not going to accept finish as well. So we want to make sure it's a nice smooth finish here on our wood. We're just going to take our block of wood again. The reason we use a block of wood is to make sure it stays flat. If you sand like this with your hand can kind of curve and make divots and do funny things. If we use a block, a sanding block, we make sure it is flat. Here's the shelf, all nicely sanded, all ready to go. Going to put finish on it now, but we don't need to record that since you already saw it for the gumball machine. On the back side here, the back side isn't important because it's going to be up against the wall majority of its life. You can see I still have glue kind of squirting out the back here. That's fine on the back. We're not going to see it. Make sure you don't have any glue kind of coming out of the seams on the front where you'd see it, because that is not going to take the stain very well. It's not going to absorb stain. It's going to look funny. So make sure if you have glue showing, make sure it's on the back. Sand this just so there aren't any rough, sharp edges to give a sliver on. We are going to be putting finish back here, so make sure to sand it somewhat smooth. And then on this back side here, you're going to write your name. And just because you might see this shelf hanging on your wall 20 years from now, write the year. 2021. There we go. Apply some two coats of finish on this, and then we'll do just like the gumball machine, take a picture of it, submit canvas, and complete the self eval.